yogurt. And it comes with a question, am I the right kind of person for this business? And I'll get to that on what I mean in just a minute. And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing for 40 years. 40 years, it hasn't killed me. And I started in this business totally broke, sold a junk truck to get started, put $200 into my business from that sale of that junk truck. And I've been full-time almost for 28 years now. So I'm I acknowledge some great people joining us right now. John, nice to see you in Baltimore. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well in Baltimore. Flavio from Ecuador. Nice to see you. Andrina, how are you? Oh, you were about to go live. Well, heck, maybe I should shut this down and watch you. I'm just a little late tonight, that's all. Omar, how are you? Yeah, actually I was in a meeting, so I was just, yeah, I'm a little, oh no, okay. Oh, Ciro, nice to see you in Salt Lake City. Jerry in Buffalo, New York, nice to see you. Rosia in California, nice to see you. Yeah, Omar in New Jersey. Charles Robertson in Georgia, good to see you. Eden in Colorado, how are you doing, Eden? And Judy, how are you? Nice to see you on the call, Judy. And, oh, is that someone from, I don't know where those characters from. Is that Japanese? I'm not sure. Nice to see you. Hajime Mashite, if you're from Japan. At first I started to say ni hao. Okay. Judy in Pennsylvania, that's right. Nice to see you, Judy. I forget which part of Pennsylvania you're in, if you're out in the country or you're a city girl. And Arlene in the Philippines, good morning. Yes, good morning. It's like 10 a.m. in the Philippines, I believe. Nice to see you. And Cindy in New Jersey, nice to see you. Oh, Judy says country. She's definitely a country girl. Okay. You're probably, you know, I think of Pennsylvania and country, I always think of Amish and, you know, the Amish, or is it Mennonites? I think it's more Amish. Anyway, but I know you're not Amish because you're online and you're on this call. Hey, Stephanie, nice to see you. Good to see you. You know, it's funny because I did have this Amish man. I mean, remember in the, oh gosh, in the late 1990s, he was in my downline, and it was really funny. He would never have a phone connected to his house, no electricity, no nothing, right? But he had this dedicated shack out in the middle of his cornfield where he had a telephone over there and he could get online over there. Kendra, nice to see you. And it was over there, not his house, that he did his network marketing business. And I always thought that was interesting and funny. Didn't have a car and all that, but he had his operation out in the middle of a cornfield. People get it done. What can I say? It's if it works, it works. So I was thinking about this today because this comes up. I see this a lot in talking to people and observing things that go on, that people ask questions, and the quality, or I'll say the outcome of whether you're going to be successful or not in this business has to do with the questions you ask, the quality of the questions you ask. Really, think about it. The outcome of whether you're going to be successful or not hinges on the quality of the questions that you ask yourself, because we're always talking to ourselves, right? Always. You're probably saying, some of you might be saying, well, Jeff, no, but maybe you need a psychologist. No, it's really true. It's really true. We're always reasoning things out. Thought processes are always usually ignited by questions. And so the thing about it is, when we look at ourselves in this business, sometimes we are just, we start off with a lot of excitement, right? We start out with maybe the quality of the questions are, when we think about it, is what do I have to do to succeed? When you first think about it, when you first were prospected about the company or the opportunity that you're in, the business that you're in, something excited you to make a decision to get started. If you can revisit that, you can revisit the questions also. Maybe some of the questions that you asked yourself, like, what do I have to do to succeed? How can I use this opportunity as a vehicle to reach my dreams? Or how much money can I make? How can I get off to a fast start? Maybe you can think of some other questions. You can put them in your comments if you like, that came to your mind prior to your joining. So you think about it, the quality of those kind of questions are very good quality. Those are great questions. And they ignite us, they get us started. What happens though is when our expectations aren't realized, we go through adversity, we go through rejection, we go through disappointments on people that we just knew was going to join us and be a part of our business and confirm that my excitement, your excitement, they're going to share that. And they didn't. Then we start asking a different set of questions. These are disempowering questions. And I want to say this is normal. So you're not a loser or a bad person if you do this, okay? Because I've done this, okay? But we'll shift to disempowering questions. Some of those questions are, am I the right person for this business? Now, I can remember thinking that. I can remember thinking, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Or, why are people not sharing my excitement? Why are they rejecting me? Of course, when we start asking, here's the problem, when you start asking disempowering questions, you're going to get disempowering answers, which is going to disempower you. Why are people not interested? Because you're not interesting. Oh, man, why am I not interesting? Or because your product isn't something that they want. We're going to get the wrong answers. All this, most of this, in fact, most all of it is really false. It's all false reality appearing real. And so we all go through that. So there's a couple of things I want to suggest that you do, because I'm speaking from experience, okay? So this is not theory, okay? I mean, there's people that write books and they've never built a business before. And so I can tell you though that I've went through far more rain than I did sunshine. I went through more storms than I did a beautiful, perfect day with a blue sky and I'm looking out over the water, okay? So there's a couple of things that, number one, here's what I want to suggest that you do. When you're in that state, what changes state is asking the what? It's the quality of the questions we ask that determine the outcome you're going to have, whether you're going to make it or not. So you have to change the question. So instead of me, I'm thinking to myself, when I used to ask myself the question, am I really cut out for this? Am I really the right kind of person for this? I would switch the question to, why am I the right kind of person for this? What qualities do I have that can help me excel in this business? What can I do to accelerate my success? In other words, and this is number two, this is very important. Who can I model? Who can I model? In other words, I can do what they do and therefore get what they get the same kind of outcome. Now, the kind of people we want to connect with are not people who aren't doing well. If I wanted to learn professional baseball and I went down to the field, I'm not going to talk and want to be mentored by somebody who always strikes out, who can't hit the ball, right? And I've seen that some people will just seek out others who are not successful just to confirm they're a loser. That's not what you need to do. And that's because I looked, when I go back to even the 1980s, I used modeling to really help give me insights into areas that I could excel in the business. What can I learn from this person? And what's really interesting is that some of these people were the most ordinary kind of people you'll ever meet. We tend to think that top earners are extraordinary people. They're just totally different from anyone else. They're in other words, they're not relatable. In other words, I think it's great that they're that way. I just wish I was that way. See? And that's not the way we need to think. And that's not the kind of people we need to model. Let me give you some fun examples. Hey, Mindy, nice to see you. I'm going back to past experiences, but I can even give you present examples. When I go back to the late 1980s, I can remember some of my upline in a company I was in, they were all rodeo cowboys. Rodeo cowboys. So in other words, they didn't wear ties when they did meetings. They showed up in blue jeans. They were themselves. They were interesting kind of people. Never made it one of the guys, he never made it. Matter of fact, he didn't even graduate from high school. And he was earning a double-digit six-figure income. And I thought, how is this possible? How can a guy that dumb make that much money? And matter of fact, I remember I was riding around in his truck with him one day, just asking him some questions, and he looked over at me. He said, Jeff, you know what? He said, you know what I figured out? I said, what's that? Being in the right place at the right time is better than being smart. I said, okay, whatever that means. Different people. Another guy that was a rodeo cowboy, he was a high school teacher. high school teacher, but he's making over $50,000 a month. You know, they were very authentic. They were themselves. And that's what they brought to the table. They were not phonies. They were truly passionate about what they, about the product and about, network marketing. And they love people. They really love people. I can remember, again, another one back then, and I'm talking about modeling. Because to me, it was like a mystery. These people are mysteries to me. I'm like, they got secrets that they're not telling, and that wasn't the case at all. And I remember one girl, I drove out to Selma, Alabama, to talk to this girl. And I was in another company. She was in a different company. And so I remember sitting down in her house around her table, and I was talking to her, and I said, well, tell me about your compensation plan. And I remember she looked over at me and she said, I don't know anything about those percents. And I said, what? I don't know anything about those percents. She said, you see that stick in the yard? I said, yeah. If I'm sold on that stick, I can sell that stick. Okay. Well, hey, Sherry, it was really nice talking with you, and gotta go, So have a great day. Got in my car, drove away. I was thinking, that girl is so dumb. She will never make it in this business. Shortly after that, she was making $20,000 a month. She knew how to sell that stick, and she didn't know anything about those percents. And for those of you that might be confused on what that means, percents, she's talking about if you look at your compensation plan, there are percentages on different levels that you get paid. She didn't know anything about those percents. And yet she went off and became a great success story. Another woman, Burma Hicks, in Alabama too. And I mean, this woman, she just drove around in her blue jeans and just had a t-shirt on and in her Cadillac, making $40,000 a month. And I'm like, how did she do that? Pure passion, that's how. That's the one thing all these people, when I lived in Alabama and I was really taking network marketing seriously in the 80s and then early 90s in this case, they all had in common is that they didn't know anything about the percents, but they sure knew how to get paid. They sure knew how to make money. And matter of fact, I can think back in my own personal experience going back 21 years ago. When I got started, I didn't know my compensation plan that well either. I just asked a couple of simple questions. How many legs do I need to have in place to drive to go to the top? And at that time, the answer was 2. I said, okay. I can do that. I don't need any more details, thank you. But it's really true. Back then, I didn't have much. We did conference calling. We had a hotline that explained the product. You call a phone number, you listen to a doctor explain a product. He did a great job, but it worked. That was all we had. And we faxed our applications in, by the way. Did it work? Absolutely. In 90 days, I had 800 people in my downline. So when you think about it then, to change the outcome so that it's a positive outcome, We have to watch the quality of the questions we ask ourselves, because the quality of the questions determines whether you're going to be a successful person or not. When you catch yourself asking disempowering questions, stop, because you're not a loser. Are you the kind of person for this business? Well, let me ask you a couple of things. Do you like people? I had a man tell me one time, well, I don't like people. Okay, this business isn't for you. You need to do something else. I told him that. I didn't want him. Anyway, but I'm sure everybody on this call, you love people. You are into people because you have to be. And I'll tell you, if you really are, and if you really care about people, it's going to resonate when you talk to your prospect, when you talk to your leaders. We need to work hard at keeping our downlines. We need to work hard at keeping our leaders. I got a message from one person right before I got on this call. She's in a different company. I forget which one, but doesn't matter. But she said, hey, I got this problem. Somebody in my upline, just went to a different company. She's coming into my team and rating it. What should I do? What should I do? I said, you need to do some damage control. That's what you need to do. You need to get on the phone with your leaders and confirm that you guys are all committed to staying the course. I mean, that's it. But anyway, things like that happen. You have to get good at making your people feel your love for them in your team. And at the same time, when you're prospecting people, they need to feel that you care about them as a person. So I'm going back to the question, am I the right person for this business? Number one, you got to care about people. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this call does. And then second is that you have to remain teachable in this business, that we always adapt and change. Not major things, but we're just talking about our methods, our way of doing the business. No biggie at all. But we have to remain flexible. These are very simple things. Showing up for trainings, showing up for your people. If you're able to do those things and dedicate some meaningful time into your business, you're the right person for this business. Let me give you some modern day examples of some, great people. And again, I'm not a modern day example because my company I joined last was 21 years ago. But look at myself. I mean, I can remember when I was at a low point, when I was broke, had no money, and was bankrupt. And I can remember just sitting on my porch and thinking to myself, why am I broke? Why am I broke? Again, disempowering question, right? And of course, the next voice coming out is, because you're a loser. Because this always happens to you. You ask disempowering questions, we get disempowering answers, right? Then I ask the question, good question. How can I get started? How can I get started? And then I opened my eyes and I looked out in the driveway and saw the junk truck. True story. It's in my book, Reaching the Peak, that's on Amazon, by the way. And I said, that's it. That's it. See what I mean? I asked an empowering question. I'm getting an empowering answer. The junk truck, my ticket out of here. And that's exactly what happened. So I sold that junk truck to the junkyard. The guy came out and gave me $400 and he took it away. I put $200 into groceries, $200 into products so I could get started. Do you realize that making that decision and getting started That was almost 28 years ago. And I've been full-time in network marketing because I asked the right question. I came up with the right answer. And the result was 28 years later, here I am. Incredible. And I shared this story with Tony Robbins because I was listening to Tony Robbins every day, and that's one of the things he taught was watch the questions you're asking. Now, here's some, and I'll tell you, when I went to a few events, I don't remember if it was ANMP or maybe Ray's event, Ray Higdon's event, prospecting event we had. But anyway, I can remember meeting Courtney Looper. I don't know if you know Courtney Looper. She's a friend of mine. And Courtney, if you look at Courtney, she doesn't look like she would be a top earner. I mean, she just doesn't because she's an introvert. She doesn't really talk. You know what I mean? She's not outgoing, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And because, in other words, she's not what I call a type A personality, a battleship. So when I met her, I'm like, wow. And her story is basically like this. She was broke, just like me. Couldn't pay her rent. She was putting out a video consistently every day, so she didn't have much of a warm market. She didn't have much of a warm market at all, but she was putting out a video every day, and she was talking about weight loss and things like that. And this one day that she told her kids that she was probably going to have to sell the dining room table because they needed some money. Think about it. Those are pathetic circumstances. And she did a video, had to do with a recipe in her kitchen. And again, she's not putting on makeup. She's not a glamour girl, okay? I'm not saying she's physically unattractive. I'm just saying she's totally authentic. She is, that's it. She shows up in the kitchen and she did a video. And then when she went to work, then her mother sent her a message say, hey, your video has gone viral. It's totally gone viral. And it did. And when I met her, I guess it was 3 years ago. At that time, she had 2 million followers in Facebook. Yeah, and she was putting out YouTube videos left and right. She was consistent. Again, when I look at her, that's a modern day example of someone you can model in terms of consistency. And then I look at someone like Angel Fletcher, for example, my friend Angel, who I've known, I think, almost 3 years, her and Ryan. And Angel, I don't know, a little more than 6 years ago, I'm losing track of time now, but she was on food stamps. On food stamps. It went from food stamps to finding people interested in her product in Facebook groups. She learned how to use Facebook groups. Self-educated, learned it that way, and became a multi-millionaire. We have some great modern day examples, and yet they don't have to be millionaires either. I mean, you can probably think of people in your company, and that's what I would say that you need to do is look in your company at people that you resonate with, that you find that, that person seems very real to me. They seem very normal to me. And I can model that person. Reach out to people like that, even if they're not in your upline. I have people reach out to me, different companies, and ask for advice and things like that. I'm always happy to help, but people like that you can model. Modeling is so important because, in other words, these people didn't have any secret sauce. No secret sauce. But they'll tell you what they did. And I'll tell you what the answers that you're going to get from these people are going to reassure you that you are the right kind of person for this business. But it's very important. Again, going back to the quality of the questions that you ask determine the outcome, whether you're going to be successful or not. So watch the way you think. I went through this. It's an uphill battle for a while, but after a while, you just get good at killing giants, okay? You really will. Just be consistent with it. There's so many great examples out there. So many great examples. So tonight, why don't you just do that? Why don't you get good at start writing down some of the empowering questions that you want to think about. And even think about, even if you don't have a lot of success right now, what do you feel good about? In other words, is there something that you feel proud about? Is it, if you say, well, there ain't nothing. Well, if you could have something, what would it be? If you could have something you could feel good about right now, what would it be? And it could be your family life. It could be your children. And when you think about it, if it is a son or a daughter, then, and you think of them, and notice how your emotions change, notice how your breathing changes, everything changes. And that's what we have to do. We have to change the way we ask questions, the quality of the questions that we ask. Change that, change your destiny. Change that, change your outcome. I know for a fact because I went through this. I went through all of this. And I remember when I was broken, I walked through every Sunday. I would go out down Dream Street. It's in my book, Reaching the Peak. I would go down Dream Street and I would look at these beautiful houses. And I used to think, man, what have I got to do to move into one of those, to have one of those, to have a different life? And I got incredibly motivated when I started thinking about what I have to do, the actions I could take. If I went down those streets and I started thinking, how did these people get this money? Was it handed down from their parents? Did they rob anybody? Was there fraud involved? Are they crooks? That would be disempowering questions. But because I asked the right questions, I went from broke to moving into a beautiful home in 18 months. It was built in 1860, Greek Revival, had the pillars out front, just the way I imagined it. But when I walked down that street, I used to think, yeah, this is the way my life's going to turn out. So, did I start that way? Nope. I started my business with the wrong questions. I'm talking about, I was excited in the beginning by asking the right questions, but when I went through adversity, I was asking the wrong questions and getting the wrong answers. I changed that. So commit to doing that. Work on the questions that you ask yourself, because you're always asking yourself questions, whether you realize it or not. Your mind is always searching. You're always thinking. What triggers thoughts are usually questions. Improve the quality of those, and your outcome will change. So I appreciate you getting on tonight, and all of you. I hope you're doing very well in what you're doing. Friday will be a Q&A, so if you're up to it, we'll do it. And just stay in touch with me. I appreciate all of you getting on. Yes, thank you, George. George always puts the link to Reaching the Peak on Amazon. Anyway, I appreciate your feedback on the book. I do. So everyone, have a good evening, and I'll put out some value tomorrow. Love all you guys. Take care.